tuning into foodoffensive.com. It's a weekly video broadcast. I'm coming at you from the San Juan, Puerto Rico airport. We've been here long enough today, about 8 hours. I finally decided to shoot something because it looks like we're not going to be going here for another hour due to some plane issues and the reason why we're still here now. So I wanted to broadcast from a nice sandy beach in the Virgin Islands where we've spent the whole week, but I was too busy playing in the water and snorkeling to get that video out. But I wanted to bring you a little video here about Puerto Rico, and how I found it out is because we were, of course, anywhere we're going, and now being so food conscious, we're looking into, what we're going to eat, and it's been very difficult on this trip without a Whole Foods in sight and not knowing the town and not knowing where the water comes from and all these different things. So we've had some struggles trying to cook in our condo and try to get the best food possible. So I looked into Virgin Islands to see what kind of GMO action was down there, since we've been doing a special report on GMOs, and it's been quite the interesting rabbit hole that I've gone down in the research. And I'm filming here from Puerto Rico right now because there's a huge testing grounds for Monsanto in Puerto Rico, and I probably wouldn't have ever found it out if I didn't make a trip down here and do the research on this area of the world. And it is a U.S. territory, so Monsanto's is down here having free reign along with the other seed companies, the GMO biotechnology companies. So I wanted to bring you a quick little update here. There's just a lot of articles out there, a lot of news out there concerning GMOs, and just a quick little video here while we wait for our plane. But I'm going to go on here to a little voiceover, and I'll have the documents and all of that and show you what's going on with that. And I can't present it right here, obviously, because I'm right in the airport, but that's kind of what's going on. This is a little bit about Puerto Rico and maybe some things that you don't know, some things I wouldn't have found out if I wouldn't have come to this part of the world, down to the Caribbean, and was searching around and looking for things to do, looking for things not to eat. So here we are. We've been in the airport so long. We want to eat, but it's hard after seeing all the stuff that's out there about GMOs here in Puerto Rico. It's hard to do that. I haven't found where they're actually using the product yet, the GMO crop, but they're doing a lot of testing, especially for the square footage of land that they have here in comparison. And of course breaking some laws while doing it, some local laws, of course. You wouldn't expect anything less from these people. But here's a short little video actually that I caught. My daughter loves dogs, and anytime she sees one, she runs after it. And so I got this little video, but it was a dog. Instead of a drug inspector dog, it's an agricultural dog. It says on its little vest, if you can't see it here, it says, "Protecting America's Agriculture." Well, it's a cute little dog, and they actually found some fruit in our bag that we had bought in St. Thomas. But it's actually fruit from California, so there you go. It's not even from a foreign country, but the dog smelled it, it got its little treat, and it found some fruit. And it could have been some fruit from another country, and I understand why they do that. It can destroy our native crops and things like that. But what's funny is if they want to protect American agriculture, they can go straight to Monsanto and any other GMO seed company and shut it down. That's what a little comment I thought of exactly whenever I saw it was, if you want to really protect America's agriculture, look no further than the biotechnology companies. So that's a little anecdote there. But moving right along, we're going to go to some documents and talk about the GMOs here in Puerto Rico and the Caribbean.
So as I just said in that intro video, my motivation for this particular video this week on the foodoffensive.com's weekly broadcast really came from my family's recent trip to the Virgin Islands. I thought maybe since we're going down there, I can find out some information. Of course, we're going to be eating the food, so I want to make sure that we're eating as safe food as possible, just like we would if we were at home here in the mainland of the United States. So I dug in and wanted to look at some different things and wanted to check that out before I went down there, thinking maybe too that I could find some information after I got there. So like I said, there would be I have quite a few articles, quite a bit of information here. As I looked deeper and deeper, I found a lot about Monsanto's little Caribbean experiment I think that's the title of one of the articles I'll be featuring here, but I'll be just giving you some quick views of some articles, and as always, you can find these downloadable versions of these on the website, and below, the links will be below in this video. So one of the articles says, Puerto Rico attracts agricultural biotechnology companies because of the tropical climate that permits up to 4 harvests yearly and the willingness of the government to fast-track permits, according to 2 professors from the University of Puerto Rico's Medical Science campus. And they go on to say, furthermore, the opposition to GM foods is almost non-existent on the island, and no particular environmental group is protesting the presence of Dow, Syngenta seeds, Pioneer hybrid, Mycogen seeds, Rice Tech, Ag-Reliant Genetics, Bayer, Croposcience, and of course the big one, Monsanto, that we always look at. Now, as of January 2005, this article says that the Department of Agriculture had authorized 1,330 field releases for experimental GM crops in the island, which resulted in over 3,400 field tests. And of those field tests, over 900 were for corn, over 200 were for soy, 99 for cotton, 15 for rice, 8 for tomatoes, 1 for papaya, and 1 for tobacco. Just some information there. I wanted to look also, the reason why I got into this for genetically modified foods for the Caribbean is I was looking to see what would be out there for the particular place we were going, and I found out that from locals there, various blogs and things saying that some of the produce came in from Puerto Rico. So, of course, Puerto Rico is a huge testing ground and testing facilities for these biotechnology companies. So it's kind of scary, even though that they're just testing them there, that we talked and we've looked in the past about how there's cross-pollination and there's different gene transfer and things with non-GMO crops being contaminated by the genetically modified crops. So there's no doubt that some of these crops that are being eaten by the people of the Virgin Islands, if they are coming from Puerto Rico, then they could definitely be tainted and infected by the genetically modified crops that are being tested there. So that's why I wanted to go over this week. Another article goes on to say that, of course, this technology cannot be controlled. Once planted outdoors, GM crops cannot be controlled or recalled. They proliferate and multiply as living things will. No country that has allowed the entrance of GM crops has been able to control them. Of course, as we've seen in other videos, and as I'm sure you've seen, countless farmers being sued by Monsanto for so-called infringement rights violations when those farmers just wanted to grow natural seed just like they always have, but they were infected by the genetically modified seed even though they were sometimes miles away. So another article titled Puerto Rico, GM Paradise or GM Hell, goes on to say most of these seed developers occupy more than 500-acre limit that the Constitution of Puerto Rico allows, while receiving hefty government benefits and advantages under the law to promote and develop agricultural biotechnology companies of 2009 tailored to favor them. Of course, as I'm sure you can guess, the reason for having that law in the first place, that acreage limit law, is to keep American landlords from developing a monopoly and squeezing out the smaller local farmer. A little trick that Monsanto likes to do, though, in this case to get around this, is they make little subsidiaries and things of their company and name it a different name, and so they are able to have more acreage than there would be allowed under the one name. And it's very common for companies to do that. Now, this article goes on to say that despite the millions and billions even of dollars that business that Monsanto and other seed companies, biotechnology seed companies get, on top of all that, the Puerto Rican government gives them the same tax breaks that a bona fide local farmer would get. And then in addition to that, they are reimbursed $2.72 for each hour in wages paid to field workers. And that said, the government of Puerto Rico said Monsanto in April, May, and June, they received a total of over $121,000, according to a source close to the Department of Agriculture. And so, of course, that company could easily get over $500,000 at the end of the year. And this is a company that's already making millions and even billions a year and has big top investors like Bill Gates and others they're getting benefits from the government of Puerto Rico when that government could be giving it to bona fide local farmers that are actually producing, not only producing food for people's consumption, but producing safe, non-genetically modified food, I might add. And now on top of this, Monsanto has invested $4.3 million to establish a 20,000 square foot laboratory in order to develop more genetically modified corn and cotton. And this, of course, will create 45 new jobs, which is great for the local economy. But at what cost are we doing this? That was back in 2011. They announced that they were going to do that. And other companies have invested millions of dollars also in different research labs and things in that country. So it doesn't stop with Monsanto when we're talking about the genetically modified research that's going on here. Now there's another article titled "Islands at Risk: GMOs in Hawaii," and I'm referring to this article because it does talk about Puerto Rico also. It talks about how biotech companies from the U.S. and the mainland prefer to have the much riskier GMO research done in someone else's backyard, somewhere else where the financial cost of conducting this risky GMO research is minimized. And it's, of course, this research is safely far away enough from home, yet close enough to keep under their control, somewhere else where local governments are so cash-strapped for resources that it would benefit their economy for those companies to be there, and they can easily be influenced by the requests and demands of these financially and legally powerful biotech companies. Somewhere like the islands of Puerto Rico or Hawaii. And the article also talks about how this open-air research is being done when it could easily be done in a hermetically sealed laboratory setting, which would be a more responsible thing to do because there's stricter controls, and obviously it wouldn't contaminate the surrounding crops of the farmers that are actually producing products for people's consumption. So it's just amazing what these companies are continuing to do and what they're continually allowed to do. They're being allowed to do this, and we're not doing enough to stop it, I don't think, and that's why I'm trying to get this word out here.
So that was it. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope this was informative, and it sure changed our view of this, of our trip down here and of the things going on around us. So it's nice to get into that stuff and look into that. So until next time, we're going to move on to some GMO salmon, the chimera salmon, and the dangerous effects on the agriculture and the environment that can have, and get into how to read labels and things like that on the next episode. So until next time, this is foodoffensive.com coming at you from the front lines of our food supply. Thank you for joining me.